What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us for a very special Valentine's Day episode where I am going to talk to you about one of my favorite Valentine's Day movies, and that is My Bloody Valentine. Stay tuned. Alright everybody, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a while since I have done a review. We used to do them every day. We're about to get back into the flow of things very soon. We've just been extremely busy, so thank you guys so much for bearing with us while we are taking care of some things. But I have been very excited to talk to you guys about this movie. I actually had never seen it. It has become my favorite Valentine's movie. I got a hold of it a couple of months ago, maybe even just a month ago. And that's going to be My Bloody Valentine, the original, not the 2009 version, which in all due respects is very good up until the very end, in my opinion. Just to give you some quick thoughts on that, I think that is one of the biggest examples of shitting the bed at the end of a movie that you can possibly do, while it was being very, 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 very solid throughout. But that is not the case with this one. So this one, and I'm going to review the movie a little bit, and I'm going to go into the package because I actually think that this tops out as one of the best physical media releases. I didn't get a hold of it so either right after we recorded our best of awards last year, or right at the turn of the year this year. I was trying to wait for a sale and I just couldn't anymore. Ended up getting it from Scream Factory directly. But the movie itself, super fun. It's a little bit different from your typical slasher from around the time. It follows a handful of people around a town called Valentine's Bluff, where essentially a mining accident had happened and like this guy kind of haunts the town and stuff like that. But the mine has a very big presence and soul for the city. The city only thrives because of the mine, and it's not like it can just be shut. I believe, if I remember right, one of the plot points is that it's not currently being used. I don't think it's completely abandoned, but I believe that it might be. That plot point is escaping me after the accident had happened. But anyways, that is going to be the essential plot of My Bloody Valentine. It is also one of the biggest examples, and this is actually an episode I think we might have planned for the future for the podcast, because there's so many examples of movies that are like really well commercially and critically received well, that were just absolutely massacred by the MPAA, and this is no exception. I believe this one had either 7 to 9 minutes cut by the MPAA because of some of the grotesque kills, and we are very, very blessed to have, I believe the original, what was it, the Scream Factory Blu-ray had the up to 3 minutes of extra content. This one does have it as well, and I think it definitely adds to it. Otherwise, it really just becomes another kind of themed slasher from the time, but I think it's the kills in this that make it very special. Spoilers for about the next 30 seconds or so, as such as like the laundromat scene and stuff like that, where the body pops out and, you know, it just shows it for a few seconds. It's really cool. It's very intense. And I think the hard work of people, and it doesn't just come down to whenever you get extra content on the movie, such as what's included in this package, that makes the movie more fulfilling, is because of the amount of hard work that goes in from the cast and crew, especially the practical effects designers. It's awesome for their work to be shown and not just quick cuts and this and that, and then, you know, then it just becomes the editor's job to make it presentable and then come out at a deadline, follow studio stipulations and guidelines, have it be out by the release date. Which is actually, I believe this movie just celebrated its anniversary 3 days ago. So happy anniversary to this as well. So that's why this movie becomes so special to me. It's a very good, it's very, very enthralling, and it actually kind of throws you for a twist on who they kind of hypothesize who the killer is and this and that. And then it ends up being like a, you know, pretty solid twist, I do believe, especially compared to what else was coming out at the time. And that's not to say that there's trash at that time. It's just, it stood out, I believe. And especially all the content that does come on this disc is incredible. Before I get into the 4K restoration itself, I really have to shout out all of the special features that are on this. It is quite crazy. Personally, one that stuck out to me is there's one that does a pretty good side-by-side comparison of what the scenes look like. So I believe it's side-by-side. I don't know if it's vertical side-by-side. I'm pretty sure it's like right directly side-by-side. It'll show you all the cut content and how it was cut and then stopped, and then where the extra content's filling in the gaps, such as like certain scenes where it might be an extra 5 seconds or so. And, you know, it's pretty easy for that to escape the mind and the visuals, especially if it's been quite a few years since you've seen the movie. You might be like, well, what did it add? You'll definitely remember the more grotesque kills that have been added back into it, that the MPA absolutely massacred out of it. But that one was a very big standout one to me. So without further ado, this package does include the uncut and the theatrical version of the films as well. Both of them on the Blu-ray. It does have 3 discs on the inside, one 4K, the uncut version on disc 2 of the Blu-ray, and then disc 3, the Blu-ray theatrical version. So it comes with the uncut version comes with an audio commentary by George Mihalka, who is the director who did do the movie. My Bloody Valentine 35th Anniversary Cast Reunion Panel at the Bay of Blood Convention in Florida, featuring George Mihalka, cast members Lori Halier, if that's how you say it, Helene, Rob, Peter Cowper, Thomas Kovacs, Jim Murchison, and Alf Humphreys, hosted by Brian Singleton. Thomas Kovacs performs the Ballad of Harry Warden at the Bay of Blood Convention with Peter Cowper and Jim Murchison. That's just on disc 2. Disc 3 does include an Anemic Valentine interview with George Mihalka, which I highly recommend. That gives you a lot of cool insight into the movie itself. And especially he goes into detail about how he constantly, like, he didn't necessarily constantly want to, but the writer of the movie wanted to keep making it, or it kept coming with ideas of the sequel. And it sounds like, based on what he's talking about, we might eventually get one with the original cast and crew. And I think that would be kind of endearing if they do decide to do that. It's not necessary, but, you know, I'm not necessarily against that, especially if it's the original creative team, this and that. It's not being forced on them. They just keep on coming back with different scripts, screenplays, and he just doesn't feel like it's right. So hopefully one day, right? Friends of Mine interview with Lori Halier. Axel Be My Valentine interview with actor Neil Affleck. From the Heart interview with actor Paul Kelman. Becoming Sylvia interview with Helene Udy. The Secret Keeper interview with Rob Stein. Broken Hearts and Broken Bones interview with special makeup effects designer Tom Berman. Holes in the Heart, a look at the differences between the theatrical version and the uncut version, which is the one I just shouted out. Theatrical trailer, which, as I always say, I'm a huge fan of seeing those. Gives you a really big insight to see how movies are presented today versus then. Radio spots, still gallery. The radio spots were actually really cool. I watched every single special feature on this disc. I'm a huge fan of this movie after a first-time watch, and it's going to be an annual watch, just like today when I was recording this video, I had watched it again. So super awesome, a great package, and all those interviews, it's really, really cool. They were given no idea about, like, who was the killer, this and that. Like, it wasn't until they were filming the particular scene that it was revealed, so it kind of kept, like, this animosity and, like, genuine animosity between them on the set and whenever they were filming, because it's like, well, who's this, who's that, we don't know. This sense of suspense and mystery that definitely portrays well to the screen. So now, to stop doing so much build-up and talk about the 4K restoration, it's like I said, this is definitely one of the best releases that Scream Factory has done in a good little while. I'm a rather big fan of Scream Factory. I think they had a rather lackluster 2023 with where I give in my Scream and / Shout Factory year-end review. Sometimes I just don't understand why the way that they do things. I really don't. They did give us all the Child's Play movies, and then next month they are coming out with Child's Play 2019, so I definitely do believe that they have a lot to offer, and I definitely think that this is the best package that they've offered in a while. And it doesn't take away any points from it. I do wish that they would have came out with that Blu-ray Steelbook just for 4Ks, because that Blu-ray Steelbook is an all-time classic amongst Steelbook collectors, I do believe, at least personally feel. But the 4K restoration itself is immaculate. It really is jaw-dropping at points. It's insane, especially if you go on and then if you have a VHS copy, a DVD copy of this, and you do a comparison, even to the Blu-ray, it's a night and day difference to me personally. It's definitely worth the upgrade, and I do personally believe that it is worth the price tag with all of the extras that do actually come on here. It's not one of those ones where it's being called a collector's edition, and it doesn't have a lot of collector's value to fans of either the movie coming out or a series coming out. It definitely is a collector's edition in this capacity. I think this is a necessary addition for anybody that loves slashers and horror movies from that time, and especially if you're a fan of this movie. If you're a fan of this movie, I don't know why you wouldn't have this already. I'm sure word of mouth probably already got to you, because other people that I have to already talk to since I did buy this already regard it as one of their best transfers that they've done in a good little while. So it is an all-time classic to me personally. It stands the test of time. 30 plus years later, looks amazing. So yeah, you absolutely have to have this on your shelf. It is great. It's not demo or reference material. I definitely would say that maybe it is a reference disc in regards to what can be done whenever restoring older slashers. And I think it's a reference disc for Scream Factory personally. And I know that they give it their all and everything like that. And all credit and due diligence to everybody that does work on discs for Scream/Shout Factory, but there have been some times that we have gotten some rather lackluster discs from them, right? But last year they had quite a few bangers, including Pumpkinhead, which I believe was an honorable mention, or it broke into my top of the best of 2023. Broke into one of ours, right? So it's definitely a necessary addition, and it's one I had to watch over and over and over again. I think I watched it twice the same day I got it. It's really good. It's a very great 4K visual representation. The audio mixing is fantastic. Everything about the entire package comes with a solid 9.5 out of 10, personally. There's not really any reason necessarily, even though I do find the price tag warranted. It's just for the package that it comes in. I feel like it should have been just a little bit cheaper. You know what I mean? It's just a standard array with the slipcase, but I do believe the packages and contents that come on there bring it up there, right? And the only reason I dock 0.5 points is some of the competitors are charging pretty much that same dollar and coming in full slips, coming in like Blade in the Dark, where it looks like a grilled cheese, which we've talked about on here. It's just awesome packaging. I just feel like maybe even a few dollars more, this probably would have been a perfect package for what we are talking about. And especially whenever I grade it at 9.5 out of 10, that doesn't mean it's for everybody, right? This is more for the people that are clicking on the video and are curious about the movie itself. If you're curious about the movie, you think it's something that's right up your alley, I can't recommend it enough. It's a fantastic disc, fantastic package. Leaves a little bit to be desired in the packaging department, but other than that, I couldn't be happier with what I got for the amount that I spent. So yeah, until next time, guys, whenever we review another movie, expect more regular content flowing very soon. And as always, stay safe out there, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time.